close to their near post and they overcompensate. And that really does minimize your range to be able to protect the area and be as preventative as possible. So where can I position based on where the ball is, based on where the opponent is, where my defenders are, where their players are in front of my goal? Are they in the near post? Are they in the back post? What's their positioning look like? But I want to find my position with the aim to be able to impact multiple outcomes. So if the ball served to the near post, can I come and affect it? If it's into the back post, can I affect it? Is there a ball that will provide me a smaller distance to be able to readjust and then therefore making my final action while protecting the goal even better? That's going to be the biggest key for you guys when defending the area. Is first and foremost is where can I position to impact multiple decisions that the attackers could make. The second thing is, if you want to be more preventative in the goal area, is to find the quickest line to the ball. So it's not about necessarily winning at the highest point. It's about winning the ball as early as possible. That means that if you win the ball as early as possible, the less amount of influence that the opponent can have on the ball. So the ball's flighted up, instead of waiting for it to get a little bit lower or waiting for it to come to you, if you can attack it, pause, judge, attack, that's going to help you win the ball as early as possible and then give the opponent less opportunities to intervene. The next thing that you guys can do is increase your ability to punch. Everybody knows we get told all the time to catch. But in crossing scenarios, when there's lots of traffic and there are a lot of bodies to be able to navigate, we sometimes want to increase our range with the safety net of, if I go for this ball and I can't catch, at least I can punch it away into a safe area of the pitch. Now, we think of punching as relatively easy. We're going up, we're punching the ball in the direction that our body is moving. So if I'm moving to the near post, punch it back to where it came from. If I'm moving it into the back post, keep the ball going where it's going. However, that seems really simple. It seems easy and the principles are easy, but it becomes a little bit more difficult when you only feel comfortable to punch with one hand. So being able to punch with two hands, being able to punch with your dominant and then your non-dominant, it's going to be really important in your shot prevention. And then the ways that you guys can work on this is moving balls in the flank, and you're getting services from different areas, different types of services. You're maybe given an outcome where if you win possession, you're quickly trying to counterattack from that situation, but also just having a really good insight and being reflective right now, a really good insight in terms of, is protecting the goal area one of my super strengths? Okay, if it is, then I can take more risks in that area to protect the goal area. But if not, I've got to get a lot better at protecting the goal in that transition moment of backwards movement to defend the goal. So just having a clear idea of who you are, what your identity is in that scenario is going to be really, really helpful. The next task of a goalkeeper after we have defend the goal area, is defend the space behind the back line. Now, the biggest common errors are that goalkeepers vertically are way too deep. They're not staying as connected to their back line, or they drop too quickly. So imagine the ball's outside shooting range, OSR. That's what we call it, outside shooting range. If the ball's outside shooting range, then that means we want to be in a position that we can impact anything that's behind the back line. And maybe that doesn't even mean the ball is played. We just want to be in a position where maybe we just impact what the attacker on the ball is doing. So let's say a midfielder on opposition picks up the ball, they get their head up and they see me off my line in a central position, and they know, okay, I can't play that ball because the goalkeeper is going to come and get it. So maybe they, one, don't play the ball, or two, maybe they play the ball in behind the back line, but they play it into the wide channels, which is not as threatening. So the ball is moving away from the goal, and now it's giving my central players time to get back behind the ball. So simply by staying in a vertical position that's connected to my back line, I could influence what the opponent is going to do and potentially stop them from being able to play into the most dangerous area of the pitch, which is behind the center backs. The second common error that I see is that goalkeepers don't have a variety of different tools to solve problems behind their back line. So the clear and obvious choice to defend the space behind the back line, especially when you're outside your box, is to clear the ball in one touch. Clear and obvious, right? But there are other ways that you can solve it as well, which might give you a wide range of tools to be able to solve different problems. So what if the ball was bouncing? Are you capable of a volley? Are you capable of a header? Are you capable of a touch off of your chest past pressure. Or if the ball, you make a decision that was maybe a little hasty and you get caught, do you have the ability to emergency slide tackle? Do you have the wherewithal to make a diving header, potentially even outside the box? And then you can always touch past pressure if pressure is coming on really heavily, and you can use that momentum of the attacker against them in some scenarios. And the ways that you guys can get better with this in your off season is, one, be really intentional about the different types of goalkeepers that you're watching on a weekly basis. So just two goalkeepers in each gender. Emmy Martinez, Allison Becker, some of the most preventative goalkeepers that you can see behind back lines. They take up a vertical positioning that's high. They have a wide range of tools that they can solve problems. And on the women's side, Ann Katrin for Gotham, as well as Mandy McGlynn for the Utah Royals, two goalkeepers that play very close to their back line, comfortable solving that space and being as preventative as possible.
Welcome to the Keeper Institute podcast. My name is Tori Corsaro. I'm a strength and conditioning and goalkeeper coach here at the Keeper Institute and your host for today's show. The Keeper Institute is a unique goalkeeper training facility in New Jersey aimed at developing better goalkeepers and better people. On this podcast, we will be discussing all things goalkeeping, character development, and more. Welcome back to another episode of the Keeper Institute podcast. Thank you. Oh, that was a little weird, Cam, and I liked it.
So I had to do it.
Doing it right away, baby. Cam is here. Kamryn Stablein is here.
I'm back.
It's virtual, but she's with me, and she's kind of substituting Jill right now. But I'm also in Jill's office, so we got a little Jill in here.
Same. She's in spirit with us as well.
She's in spirit with us, but Cam and I are taking over today because we are super pumped about a brand new thing that we get to do in the new year, aka TKI University. And for the first time ever, we're gonna have a West Coast class, and Cam's gonna be spearheading that. So we're not gonna just sit here and tell you why and how great TKI University is, and why you need to be there, how much you'll develop from it. We're going to talk a little bit about what it takes to develop as a goalkeeper, what it looks like, what you can do on your own, or just like some focuses that you can place on your training and games so that you can become the best version of yourself possible. But we're also going to slip in a little bit of why you should be there, because who wouldn't want to be?
I mean, you should be there
with us.
You should definitely be there.
Should definitely be there. But for those of you who maybe are newer to the podcast or haven't trained at TKI, I'm going to have Cam go ahead and introduce herself, give a little bit of background information, let us know where she's at right now. That way you can kind of get to know her, especially if you're in the West Coast and going to join her class.
Yeah. Number one, what's up, West Coast region? Let's get crazy. So I'll start there. I actually just recently moved out to the West Coast. I'm living in Seattle right now after a very, very long time on the East Coast and a very long stint at the Keeper Institute. I've trained there since I was about 10 years old, worked there for about 10 years. I don't know how they kept me around that long, but even now they're keeping me around, so I guess that says something. So trained there for a long time, have coached there for about 10 years, absolutely love it. I went to the University of Delaware for about a year and a half, transferred into Temple University where I got to play under the Maria Lloyden. So if I don't know anything, it actually can't be my fault, but I probably know a good amount. But yeah, that's a little bit about me, and I'm super excited to be taking over this West Coast class and building our little community out here and keeping it connected to TKI, because it's definitely the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Look at her. It's the best thing that's ever happened to both of us, and that's why we became bestie girls / sisters.
Goodness. That's my favorite player right there.
That's my favorite player right there. If you guys don't know or you can't tell, Cam and I are also the class clowns of TKI, if there was a class clown section. But we have a good time together, and I think that is a testament to, like the kind of relationships that TKI does develop is, you get to kind of create this camaraderie and collaboration with not only your coach, but also your fellow training partners, because we had the privilege of working alongside each other when both of us were still playing, but also I had the privilege of coaching Cam when she was still playing and I wasn't. I just think that there's something special about being here in the environment that it creates. And that's kind of the hopes of what we're doing with TKI University as well. Not only give you an opportunity to learn more about the game, study more about the game and the position within the game, but also create those relationships, that environment within a group of people who might not be able to physically get under one roof together all the time. Because it's a hard position. I think we all know that being a goalkeeper can be lonely. Your development can seem a little tricky because you don't always have a coach that understands the position or specifically works with you. So it's just another opportunity for you guys to grow and develop under like a support system, I think, and an inner circle that you kind of get an opportunity to create.
Yeah, we need each other out here.
We sure do. All right, so let's crack into some questions. Me and Cam are going to hit this one a little bit like a Q&A, and we're going to be talking about goalkeeper development. So I want to start off with, what do you think are a couple main things that goalkeepers, like facets of the game, that they can, maybe develop on their own or in, I'll say, isolation to a sense?
Yeah. Well, number one for me is always going to be in possession. You can work pretty much anytime, anywhere on what you're doing with your feet, how you're distributing the ball, whether that's hands, whether that's on the ground, whether that's, you can get creative with that. I think that that's the number one area that we can always control. I think fitness, as everybody loves so much, is always an area we can control, but more so than that, and something that I think is ignored way too often in the goalkeeper position, is the actual tactical understanding of the game that then goes along with what everybody talks about, is this goalkeeper presence. I don't believe as a goalkeeper you can have a presence and have that confidence that everybody wants in their goalkeeper if you don't have a tactical understanding of the game that you can communicate to others in a digestible way, which is probably my favorite point to talk about.
Yeah, that's good. So now go a little more. Kicking, I think, is like, yes, 100% in possession, and get a ball, get a wall, get a ball, and go out and hit clip balls or long balls and chase it down and do it again. But talk a little bit more about how you can start to develop that tactical understanding. What are some things that maybe you can do at two separate levels, maybe like the beginner level and then as you're getting a little more advanced, to understand tactics and develop that presence?
Yeah, for sure. I think the number one thing, and it's going to seem super simple, is watch the game. There are so many talented goalkeepers in the world. And not only are there talented goalkeepers, but there are so many talented teams at so many different levels, whether you want to watch the men's side, whether you want to watch the women's side, whether you want to watch it in the US or something overseas. There are so many different games that you can watch where maybe you don't even need to be fully plugged in, but you can be like, oh, I just saw that goalkeeper use deception in the in possession. I would have never thought about that. Or, oh, look at the goalkeepers pointing while they're setting up for a set piece. I never thought of that. I wonder what they're saying. So sometimes it's something as simple at the lowest level of just putting the game on and letting it run and tuning back into some details like that. But as you start to really want to digest that position, something I think you can do alone is, one, start asking those questions in a bigger way, and two, something we do a lot, which is we break down that film and we talk about different areas of the game, whether that's in possession, whether that's out of possession, whether that's our communication, decision making, anything along those lines. We start to break that down with more specific clips so that we can get into very detailed areas of the game that maybe we don't get to talk about with our team. Maybe there's just no time.
Yeah. And what do you think, like, when you're sitting down and maybe you're going over clips, what do you think is like the objective? Because obviously it's not like, oh, I watch this person go with their top hand. Now when I go into training, I'm going to use my top hand every time. It's like, obviously there's almost like a process that has to go through. So what do you think people can do to kind of watch those clips and use that to help them actually develop the knowledge?
Yeah, I think this is something we talk about a lot at TKI, and I know something that you lean into very heavily is there's not always one right answer, because every goalkeeper is going to have a different solution to maybe the same exact problem, right? So I think for me, the mindset that I like to go into when we're doing film breakdown or just general understanding of tactics and whatnot is I want the goalkeepers that I'm working with to, one, be curious, and two, try to relate. So we don't talk about, oh, this was a good decision because X, Y, and Z, and this is the only solution. We're talking about what might have influenced that decision. How did they arrive there? How are we defining success in there? Because maybe it's not a save, maybe it's getting somebody to dribble wide of the goal, right? So I really want us to look at those types of things instead of in this lens of good or bad, being like, how did we arrive there? what are the decisions that led up to it? Because goalkeeping is very rarely just a one save and done. There's a lot of decisions that happen before that we really need to talk about, because that is tactics.
Isn't it funny? Like, you're gonna put me on a tangent here, but isn't it funny how people look and be like, oh, that goalkeeper made an error, why would they do that? But they just don't understand, like, the nuance and the degree of difficulty, or like people will be like, oh, why'd she push that away? That's an easy catch, like that's extra. And you're like, actually, you're not considering the fact that it's slick out there, or her defender moved late and her vision adjusted, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, there's just these minute details at times that add a lot or a little difficulty to what you're doing.
I think it's all about understanding of self and how it can apply to self, because you can take pieces from everywhere.
Right. That actually leads me right into my next question. So when we talk development, we talk a lot about the physical things we can do, or the clips that we can watch to make us better, or the things we can do on the pitch to make us better. But so much of development, I think, as a goalkeeper, especially moves into like more elite levels, or every time they have to level up, is up here in their mind.
Oh, yeah.
And what that takes. So I would love for you to touch on what you think you need to do to develop maybe part of your mental game, I'll call it, as a whole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that comes in a lot of different shapes and forms, and it's going to look different for every single person. And I think the first thing is getting to know yourself. Where do you struggle mentally? Where is that coming from? Who in your circle is helping and harming that? And how can we build support around us to make that mental battle easier? I think goalkeeping is by far the hardest position on the field. 1, because nobody understands it. 2, because there's a lot of judgment that comes with it. And 3, all of our mistakes are unbelievably blasted on a big screen. And even if we do something completely right, it still might look wrong. And that's just the reality of the position. So for me, I think a lot of the mental game has to happen with internal work and then external support. Who is buying into our circle? Who understands the position? And that's when I had my most growth personally, is when I started building my circle to be people who understood not only the game, but me and how they could support me best.
Yeah. Starts with self, right? And kind of almost like an acknowledgement, whether it be, I look at you and I'm like, Cam, you have to start taking your mental game serious. And you're like, yeah, you know what? You're right. Or something happens and it tricks, like it kind of like flips on a switch inside you where you're like, I got to start taking this part seriously because it is impacting me. And I almost think that's one of the like greatest things about TKI University is, yes, the camaraderie and people who have been in your shoes when it feels really difficult, but also we have that support for you within there with Dr. Christiana Ogunsami. Chris just finished up her doctorate. She is working in sports psychology, and she will have one class a month, I believe, with both the West Coast and the East Coast, kind of going over different things that might just be getting you to think differently, might be getting you to acknowledge that you need to work on that area, or might just help you kind of like work on it when you're already knowing that you need to.
Yeah.
Like, she has all these great pieces of advice, different exercises you can do, ways of to kind of like mind map and help you maybe recreate unhelpful thinking. And I know that you work with Chris a lot throughout your career. So if you have any like things maybe that you think that did for you, or something specific that helped you, like, do you care to share with the listeners?
Yeah, let's get vulnerable. I mean, at the end of the day, I would say for myself, one of the hardest battles I faced in my career was the mental side of it. I really struggled with mistake management. I really struggled with this idea of wanting to be the perfect goalkeeper. And quite frankly, I was very motivated by my people. So I had an internal belief that I had to identify that was, I'm here to prove the people that love me right. The people that believe in me right. I have a duty to them. And that adds a lot of, oh my gosh, there's so much pressure. And mistakes feel so big because, oh my gosh, I'm letting all the people I love and who believe in me down. And I think Chris was one of the first people who sat me down and was like, Cam, you're talented, and yet you struggle in this area. And I just want to give you the space to normalize the fact that, like, everybody struggles in this area, whether they talk about it or not. And it's not a sign of weakness, but it is a sign of self-abandonment if you aren't going to address it. And that's a problem in the goalkeeping space because, quite frankly, we're abandoned on an island way too often to do the same to ourselves.
Yeah. It is probably, if, I don't have a statistic, but I bet you it's the most neglected area of, I would go as far as to say, most athletes' game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, across the board in sports,
Oh,
if I had to put a guess on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that it's like, oh, I know if I want to get fitter, I'm going to go condition. I know if I want to get stronger, I'm going to go in the gym. I know if I want my left foot to be better, I'm going to go work on my left foot.
Yeah.
I know I need to be more resilient or deal with my mistakes better, I'm going to avoid it.
Yeah, I'm just going to avoid that entirely.
It is neglected, but it doesn't mean it's not there. And until you take the time to actively work on it, it's just going to stay there, right? Yeah. And I don't know, I think they're, athletes probably have healthy skills that they do without knowing it, but I bet you they have a lot of unhealthy skills too. And you might know it's a problem, but not know what to do with it. And or how to work on it actively. But that's the great thing about Chris is she's going to provide and give you those skills to actively work on it, to actively get better. And I think that's something that I watched you grow so much in throughout your career. Obviously we did train together when you were young, but then I also worked with you with your club team and then at TKI for many, many years. And I think that along with your kicking, your kicking and your mental game were probably your biggest growth points. And I don't think that it's any coincidence that once both those things, but especially your mental game got stronger, you were performing at some of your best. And I think that more than anyone else, it was a process. It wasn't I know I need to be better at this. It was I need to be better at this, and here's what I'm going to do to do it.
Mm-hmm. That's the best thing about Chris is she definitely meets you where you're at, and sometimes it's little pieces of support, and sometimes it's going a little bit deeper. So I don't want this to come off as this big scary thing of like we're about to infect your life with like our therapy. No, it's here's how we can help you wherever you are at. Sometimes tools is plenty. And I will say, as somebody who got to utilize some of those tools, the game was so much more fun at the end of my career than it was at the beginning. And I think that was a big reason why I was playing my best soccer at the end is not only was I taking care of it, the game became more fun because that pressure started to dissolve a little bit. And I owed myself that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That is snap-worthy right there. I'll tell you that much.
Yes.
So let's get back to development as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
This is a little bit more guided towards you, and obviously everyone's going to be different, but at what age do you feel like your game really hit stride with you're like, I really feel like I'm developing? And that's a hindsight question. Obviously in the moment you might not have known, but as you look back on your career, at what point would you say, I developed the most in this stretch of time?
Yeah, I think that for me, there were two very distinct points that I can identify oh, wow, I got better and I dedicated a lot of time and energy to it. And the first one was probably right before I went for my freshman year at the University of Delaware. I ended up coming on to TKI full time. It's when I started coaching, which made my game so much better. I surrounded myself with the right types of people. I was doing homeschooling, not that I recommend that to anybody, but I was homeschooling. I probably do, but call me on that one, not on the podcast, But yeah, no, I would say that was a time because I spent so much time in the gym and training and around the right people that I really got a sense of, okay, I know what it's going to take to be the best. And I went into the University of Delaware right out of high school and became a starter. And I think a big part of it was the time I spent before I got there, dedicating a lot of time to tactics and in possession and things like that. And then the second time was right during COVID. And we took a little break, and during that break is when we're talking about my kicking, because I couldn't kick a ball more than 25 yards. I spent a lot of time there and a lot of time, because the world was shut down, watching the game and having conversations with a lot of people at TKI. And when I got to Temple, because I transferred right during the COVID window, which was pretty crazy, I think that when I got that support and a coach that was behind me 100% saying, hey, make those mistakes but push your game, I really started to flourish. I had the right support system to do it.
Okay, so now take those things and sum it up into three points that someone else could do, right? Or maybe you would say this is the bullet point, whether it be okay, individual work or this, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I would say first is individual responsibility to your weaknesses. That
Woo!
was number one. Number
Ooh, that's a mic drop.
You got to be responsible for what you don't like. It's really easy to do all the things you do and neglect the things you don't. You can't do it. Number two, the mental game. Spending some time paying attention to that. Very, very big. And number three, which goes along with that, was the right support system. When I got the right people around me more and more consistently, iron sharpens iron, baby. You only get better with the right support.
Gosh, that's good. That'll preach right there, to quote my good friend Cristiano Ogunsami. That'll preach.
yeah.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah.
And I should have known you were going to deliver on that.
Thank you.
I think that is a really good place for us to kind of almost like cap off and give you our big sell on TKI University.
Yeah.
The great thing, guys, is you join TKI University and you are creating that support system. When you join TKI University, we can promise you, I feel confident that I can make this promise, and
my soul and bones, I feel this one.
We can become, and we want to become, that support for you. We want to be part of your inner circle if you so choose it. We want to help you understand the elements of the game that no one else is helping you understand. We want to give you ways to work on your mental game. We want to encourage you to not be afraid to fail in the process of reaching your ceiling. And I think that for me, I'm honored that I'm getting the opportunity to coach and lead the East Coast class, because this is something that I think I needed when I was that age. It's something that I want to be able to provide for people, whether they come here every week or whether they live in Florida and they can't get here ever. And I think that for me, it's just such a cool opportunity to really not only educate others, but grow myself, because we're going to be challenged to lead classes, think about the game differently, be able to take the knowledge that we feel we have and provide it in a useful way to the people that are trusting us to educate them. And I will let you speak on why you think it's so helpful, and kind of give your 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, as somebody who's now moved out to the West Coast, what I've found, and no shade to the West Coast, is there's still nothing like TKI anywhere in the world. And the amount of care that these coaches put into the athletes that come through those doors or open up their laptops and join, or their phone, who am I to judge? Whatever you got, you got. We do a really, really good job of connecting with players and making sure that they know that we care not only about their development as a goalkeeper, but as a person, because that's what all of this leads back to. And I couldn't be more excited to expand our family at the end of the day, because Tori's my family, TKI is my family. I can't wait to pioneer and extend this family out to the West Coast, because this resource, I wish that I had had it sooner. I was lucky enough to seek it out, but I wish people had been a little bit more like, hey, here's your little class, why don't you join? I had to build that, we all had to build that, and the fact that it is built and you just have to join us is a super exciting thing, and I'm excited to expand it even bigger.
Heck yeah, baby. So if you're looking and you're interested, or you're listening to this podcast and now you've become interested, head over to thekeeperinstitute.com, apply today. We're starting in 2026. We're going to have a class in the West Coast. We're going to have a class in the East Coast. Both these classes are going to have Dr. Cristiano Ogunsami once a month. We meet twice a month, and we will be there to talk you guys through different areas of goalkeeping. Chris will be there to talk to you about the mental game. We'll have office hours where you can bring in your own clips, and it'll be discussion-based. And I feel very confident that when you graduate from TKI University, you will graduate better understanding yourself, better understanding the game, and feeling like you have that community and that inner circle within that group.
It's also a great holiday gift if you celebrate.
Seriously.
I know.
No matter what you celebrate.
I would have
Christmas,
been
Hanukkah,
Santa's on my Christmas list.
Yeah. Put it on your Christmas list. Perfect time.
Yep.
But Cam, thank you so much. I know you're busy. I know we're at different time zones here, and I just appreciate that I can have your time and get to see your face, because I miss you.
Miss you so much. Thanks so much.
All right, guys. We'll catch you later, though.
Can't wait. Later, skaters.